We're going to be making this really cool, spooky inspired Halloween arrangement with a super neat container to go with it. To start off, you're going to need a 4.5 bubble bowl, some Design Master paint, and to create our hydro dipped bubble bowl, what we're going to do is we're going to pour water into our bubble bowl. We want to create this little well of water, and we're going to spray our Design Master paint in. And then we will roll our container, and as we roll it, the water will lay down the paint on the inside and start creating that really cool marbled effect. Now, once we've done that, dump the water out. You're going to dry the inside with a hairdryer. After each layer that you put into your container, you need to dry it with a hairdryer and blot it maybe with a rag, and that will keep it marbling. Make sure to let it dry completely before you put another layer of paint. If not, you're going to mess up the really cool effect that you're trying to get. Here I am just adding another layer of paint. I've got the green, I've put purple, orange, now green. And so far, this is what it looks like. It's got this really neat marble look to it. I'm gonna dump out the water, give it a good inspection, dry it with my hairdryer. If I need to, take a rag and blot the inside, make sure all water is out. The next paint that I'm going to add is going to be white. I like to do 2 coats of white on the inside because it really starts highlighting those other colors and brightens it up. So this is my first layer, and as you can already tell as I spin the bowl around, you can see how it's really starting to make those colors pop. This is just 1 coat. Making sure to dry. And this is what it looks like with 2 coats. Now, for the last and final coat, we're going to completely coat the inside of the container with black spray paint. You could leave it with just the white and it would continue to look really light and pop, but the dark kind of makes it spooky. And so that's why we added the black. Also, you need to put a sealer on the inside, and that will seal all the paint in so that you don't have to worry about any of the paint chipping off when you put the foam into the container and the water touching it or any of that kind of stuff. Now, let's start our arrangement. These are the plant materials we're going to use and the supplies. The very first thing we're going to do is take a speed sleeve and put in the inside of the container to create a water barrier for our arrangement. We will be using foam, and you just need 1 cube, and you just insert it and trim it just like so. Leave the foil out because it kind of gives it that extra design. The first flower we're going to put in is going to be a spider mum. I like to leave the nets on them so that whenever we're bumping them, with the petals don't start falling out. I'm just going to stair stack these spider mums to kind of start our skeleton of the arrangement. I don't really care for the placement of this one, so I'm going to reinsert it. Remember, don't stick it back in the same hole. Move over. And this is what our 3 spider mums are going to start looking like. Next flower to be inserted is going to be 2 stems of mini carns, and we chose orange to kind of go with the Halloween feel. And we're just going to place them in the windows of our spider mums and fill in any of those spaces. I like to take the babies that weren't kind of like what we needed in the other spaces and fill in. Make sure to pet your carns so that they're all fluffy. And this is what those carnations will look like. We're also going to be using green button mums. kind of following the same pattern as the carnations. We're going to fill in those windows. We will be using 3 stems of button mums, but you could get away with 2. There was a lot of sprays on these, so ended up separating a bunch of them. Now, I know there's someone out there probably thinking you should have greened that arrangement first, and maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, but after all the research I've done in all my years of teaching, I have learned that it's practitioner's preference. Some people like to green foam arrangements first, and some people like to green them last. And with this being the very first arrangement that my advanced students are going to do for their Flower of the Month club, I want to make sure that they have their skeleton correct and the structure of the arrangement's good. So we're going to put the flowers in first and then green it. And maybe next arrangement, we'll do it the opposite way. But I'm doing it this way just to make sure my kids learn and understand placement of their flowers. After we got all our main flowers inserted, we're going to insert a cute little line element with our Curly Willow. I had a bunch of these dried in my closet, and what a better way to use them than in a spooky Halloween arrangement. Now we're going to use Israeli Ruscus to green our arrangement finally. And I love using this because you can cut it in half and you can use it in multiple ways. So right now we're just going to cover our underwear. That's what I like to tell my students. The foam is your underwear and you don't want your undies hanging out. So let's make sure to cover our underwear with our greenery. We're going to use this Ruscus, and also I have a few pieces of lemon leaf that we're going to insert. I want to make sure that on one side I kind of keep my levels going. So I'm going to put some up higher with my spider mums to meet the height of the arrangement, and I'm going to tuck some down in lower. Remember with lemon leaf that you can actually cut those leaves and make them into the shape that you want, because sometimes those leaves are really big and kind of dopey looking. So you can just take your floral scissors and cut them down to the size that you need them to be. Now that our arrangement has been greened, it is time to add a little something to make it spooky. And nothing says spooky like Spanish moss. We're going to put a little bit of the Spanish moss in some areas. You can use greening pins like I just showed you, or if you don't have a greening pin, just take some floral wire, bend it into a hairpin, and then use that to pin in your moss. That's what I'm doing right here. I'm just going to take and hide my undies with the moss, adding it. Now, right here, I want to put a little something at the top in my Curly Willow. So I've taken a glue dot and I'm going to stick it right there and take a little piece of moss and attach it right there to kind of give it that whole spooky look. Other things that you could add to this arrangement to make it even a little spookier, you could take and make hot glue spider webs and add those in, spray paint them, make them a different color. You could go to the Halloween store and you could get the spider web stuff and stick that in there. You could take your Cricut and you could cut a moon and stick it in the arrangement. There's so many things that you could do with this arrangement that would make it even more spookier. Of course, you could always add little inserts like Halloween stuff that would make it cute. The last things to do is to put Crowning Glory and Leaf Shine on our arrangement. I really hope that you liked watching us make this arrangement and look forward to showing you what we make in the future.